the Bestow stuff, you're obviously contracted. But really the tricky part and also the fun part is how do we actually dive into it and make this work? So I'm more than happy to keep this conversational. If you do use Bestow and you have been marketing, would love to hear what you've done, kind of what's working, what's not working, any questions and feedback you have. I'm not going to run through a full presentation. Instead, I'm going to highlight different parts of Bestow, the process, and some marketing ideas.
Oh, I'm hearing some feedback.
त्याला लिहिलंय टेक्स्ट मीटिंग मध्ये मी त्याला सांगितलं की क्वेकर टाऊन पास केलं की मला फोन कर.
Okay, I think the feedback has stopped. What I would suggest is if everyone could just put themselves on mute, take yourself off to ask a question, but if you're in listen mode, go ahead and put the mute on and hopefully that'll stop the feedback.
I think that did the trick. It's okay. So I like to think of Bestow, right, just from a high level. When you get that link, it's obviously a unique way to distribute life insurance. And I like to think of it as having a spectrum of involvement for you as the agent. Right? On one hand, you could have your traditional one-on-one conversation with a client. You identify that they're younger, they're healthier, may not want to go through a full underwriting process. They may not need all the bells and whistles of a more robust term product. So you identify them, you send them the link via email or text message, and your close rate is going to be pretty high. But you're not going to be leveraging the technology of Bestow to really get the volume that you want to see to generate that positive revenue. So that's on one end of the spectrum. Now on the far other end of the spectrum, you have true passive marketing, where you may put your link on a website, and you may put it in your email signature. You may just do email blasts without having too much strategy in terms of the target market. And then, you know, that's great, get a lot of good visibility, but then the close rate might be lower, right? So then the trick is, how do you implement Bestow at every point in that spectrum, or how do you combine different strategies to try to increase that engagement, try to increase that close rate to get cases in the door? And we do that a number of ways, right? Overall, the best fit from a sales standpoint at Bestow to get leverage for that volume is to do cross-sell opportunities, right? So in the financial advisor space, that really looks like, what are the partnerships that you have? I understand one or more of you have relationships with employer groups, right? You may work in that employee benefits space. Bestow is a good fit there. You do an email cadence, you include Bestow as a supplementary option, come re-enrollment time. And that's a really good way to get in front of people. Now you can combine that with seminars, whether it's Zoom seminars or in-person seminars, where you talk about the importance of life insurance, and you can highlight Bestow, and you combine the two, and then you're going to see that close rate go up. Now, naturally, whenever you're doing some sort of mass marketing group, you as the agent, and this is both a pro and a con, the involvement you have at the point of sale could be zero, right? That's a good thing because you can reach a lot of people, you can get a lot of sales without having to invest all that time. But also you're going to attract, natural adverse selection. You're going to get a lot of people that may not qualify. You may get a lot of people that know they need insurance and know that they're not going to qualify, and they're going to start applying on that link. So you're going to have to get a lot of people, or in front of a lot of people, to click on that link in order to increase that close rate. Now, one thing I did want to highlight is that we have an advisor reporting portal, and my internal Neil, unfortunately, is sick. So we're currently looking into who at Coastal has active login credentials for this. Once I get that, I'll follow up with Michelle. But in essence, we have a business management tool. You can find this on agents.bestow.com. This is not password protected. This is where you're going to find all of our marketing material. This is where you're going to find that advisor reporting portal. Right. But this is just a really good home base for you when you start working with us. But that advisor reporting portal is really nice because you're going to see every person that has clicked on your link and submitted an application. And again, that's submitted an application. So you're going to see everybody that has either been declined or they approved and they bought a case, and that's awesome. Or maybe they were approved and didn't take a case. So let's say you do an email blast and you send it out to 1,000 new prospects, right? 1,000 individuals that you may not be working with for life insurance. And this might be a good fit because you're going to offer a modern, streamlined process and product for them. And then you could work on upselling them to other life insurance products or other financial services, which we see a lot of agents do. But if you email 1,000 people, maybe you get 50 that submit an application. And out of the 50, you may get 5 sales. I'm just spitballing numbers here, right? That means you have 45 people that submitted an application and they were either declined or they were approved and didn't take that app. That is a perfect opportunity for you to reach out to them because clearly they are interested in life insurance. They applied and they didn't get it for whatever reason. On this portal, we're going to give you the high level reason on why they were declined. So it'll typically be, we do 4 main data checks, right? That's MIB, so medical history codes, prescription, which is Milliman on the report, motor vehicle report, and lifestyle LexisNexis. Vast majority of our declines are going to come from either self-disclosed answers on that application, MIB, or prescription. So if you get a decline and you know it's prescription, you can call that client and say, hey, Bestow isn't a good fit, but you're going to be able to pivot them. Because remember, it's oftentimes a misconception that if a client has been declined at a previous carrier, that is going to be automatically a knockout or an automatic ding on that client moving forward. No carrier is going to decline or ding somebody purely off of the fact that they were declined at another carrier. They're going to look at the underlying reason on why they were declined. And if you're going from an instant decision product and process, we're not going to be able to look into a lot of details for medical conditions that a traditional underwritten product could. Therefore, our underwriting is naturally going to be less, right? We're going to be able to capture less people than a traditionally underwritten product. The flip side of that, the positive, is that they can do it in 15 minutes. You don't have to do parameds and phone interviews, et cetera. But for example, just one specific example with diabetes and Bestow, we can't underwrite individuals who control diabetes with insulin, right? We can't look into A1C levels. We can't ask questions about their medical history. We're only going off of their MIB, the prescription, and the answers that they self-disclose on that app. So if they get declined for diabetes with us, we all know that there are tons of carriers out there that can evaluate that risk and offer a decision. So they're going to go to that other carrier, they can get that decision. So Bestow is a really good first go at it, right? It's a first good screen. If they can get coverage, that's awesome. They can do it in 5 to 15 minutes. If not, you can pivot them. But now you have 45 new prospects that you could upsell to a different life insurance product. Now you multiply this continuously, right? Continuous email campaigns, you do continuous target marketing, whether it's associations, whether it's employer groups, whether it's a PNC book that you partner with. And then you roll up, and the more volume you have, the more opportunity you have. So we'll double check on the status. Now, one thing that we're working on is that we don't currently proactively send you notifications on activity on your link. We're working on figuring out a cadence of saying, hey, every 24 hours, we can have an email go out in the morning that says, you've had 20 hits on your URL, log into your portal to look at the information. Reason why it was like that at first when it rolled out is that we didn't want to send hundreds of emails to you and spam your inbox, assuming that the marketing campaigns do well. Now that does cause a little bit of frustration because you can be in the dark and you have to proactively go to that dashboard to look at information. But eventually we're going to have some sort of notification system. Another enhancement that we're going to create for this portal is that, currently we can only capture data for clients that have fully submitted an application, right? We're going to show client name, email address, phone number, where they're at. We hope to very quickly, like maybe in a few months, capture more pre-submission data, right? So we want to be able to provide you, the advisor, with as much information about that client that clicked on your link as possible. Because you may have a client that clicks on the link, finishes that app 75% of the way, which is rare, and then they stop. We want you as the agent to have access to that information, and we hope to have that soon. Another question that comes up often is that, from a licensing perspective, right? You can have your link float out really anywhere in the US, but you may only be contracted in a few states. Currently, how that looks like, so at that first slide, at that first step in that application, that client is putting in age, height, weight, and their zip code. And that zip code is automatically going to do a comparison on where the client is and the licenses that we have on file for you as the agent. If they're in a state that you're not licensed in, it's going to have a bummer message that says, please reach out to your agent. They're not licensed in this state currently. Full transparency, we don't have your specific contact information on that screen, right? That's an engineering build that we're working on to be able to attribute your contact information to any bummer screen. But currently it just says, reach back out to your advisor. Now, let's say you were to get contracted, you were to get licensed in that state, or you were to just get licensed in states that you previously weren't licensed in. You don't have to notify Coastal for Bestow. You don't have to notify Bestow. We do automatic checks, and that link updates automatically, right? So want to make that as easy as possible. But yeah, eventually we'll have the contact information on those bummer screens. Any questions so far? No? Cool. I want to highlight a few pieces, right? So again, agents.bestow.com, I would save this website. We're constantly adding new pieces. I think the best one to start with is our sales kit. So this is a step-by-step guide on how to get started with Bestow. It's pretty generic, right? But it's going to provide you with email templates, flyer templates if you want to mail anything out, pre-written emails, social media assets, advertisements that you could put on there, right? If you wanted to do a campaign just talking about the importance of life insurance, you can use our ads for that. HTML formats, message tailoring, and again, this is pretty generic stuff, but it's a good way to get started and it's all in one spot. If you want to dive in a little bit more, right, we have this advertising and compliance Bestow guide. Quite possibly the most boring advertising piece that I've seen, but it actually has some really good stuff on it. For one, gives you some do's and don'ts, but really the page that I want you to focus in on, and I can zoom my screen here, hopefully, is that we're able to customize your landing page with whatever logo or name that you want on there, right? Where this can actually get really fun and where you can get creative with this is that we can create duplicate landing pages for you. So let's say you are working with an association or an employer group, and you don't necessarily want your brand or name on that landing page, right? Because that employee might not know who you are, that association member might not know who you are. And it might be a marketing strategy of yours to get your name out there, or you may want to put that association logo on there or that employer's logo on that landing page to make it look more in line with where they are. We can do that. You would just reach out to our sales team. You could reach out to Michelle or myself. We'll create an identical URL for you, which will be attributed to you. And then we can customize that landing page for whatever group you're working with. Now on that advisor reporting portal that I showed you, that is going to show you, the breakouts, right? It will say, hey, you've had 5 sales from your association ABC landing page, and then you've had 5 sales from your other URL. We see advisors that really work in that association's, that employer group space really latch onto this, right? You may have an agent or you may be working with a number of employer groups where you just want to customize that look and feel for each one. And it's a nice touch, right? We want to make marketing as easy and convenient for you, and we want to make it as personalized for you as possible. But again, just email us with high res PNG or SFG format picture. Takes about 24 to 48 hours to update. But this piece also kind of dives into if you wanted to create your own marketing material, whether it's co-branding with your agency, with Coastal, or you just have an idea to really create a piece that we don't have that you want to make your own and use Bestow. We have a process for you to do that. We also offer you promotional language that you can borrow. We break it down. So if you're working with a PNC group, mortgage brokers, realtors, again, employee benefit groups and associations, and collateral assignments. So that PNC and that mortgage broker segment is very appealing for Bestow, right? Because that cross-sell opportunity is there. So the financial advisors and the wealth advisors that I work with, or independent broker dealer reps that I work with, they may not use Bestow for a traditional term replacement. I get that, right? Because we don't have conversion privileges. It's a different process. It is a very unique vanilla term product where the process is the highlight of it. So the goal of this is really to appeal to those clients that otherwise wouldn't be talking to you about life insurance, or otherwise wouldn't be thinking about life insurance because they couldn't be bothered, right? How many people need, 100, 200, 500,000 of term, and the work and the premium associated with that is oftentimes not worth the effort. Bestow is a good fit for that. So naturally that PNC cross-sell, that mortgage broker realtor cross-sell is appealing. And the independent broker dealer reps that really take off with Bestow, or just financial advisors that take off with Bestow, we'll partner with them because we can contract them under you in the hierarchy, right? So you may partner with a PNC office that should be selling a lot of life insurance, but trying to get a PNC rep to really adopt that life insurance story is tough, right? They're getting a lot of money through renewals on their PNC book anyways, and they don't want to jeopardize that conversation. They don't want to jeopardize a client relationship because they're asking them and pestering them about health questions and chasing them down for underwriting, et cetera. So what they'll do is that the PNC firm will partner with that financial advisor, that life insurance focused individual, and create some sort of funnel, right? PNC firm may be licensed, they would contract under you, and then we could contract their agents as licensed only, right? So comp would be paid to the PNC office, and that PNC office would distribute, right, premium how they see fit. Now you being in that hierarchy would get a cut of that, and you can be as involved or uninvolved as you'd like. Now, we always recommend you want to be involved in some way. So some PNC firms will, you could either do the carrot or the stick, right? They will motivate their employees either by giving them a referral bonus or a promotional bonus, or just make it as a part of, hey, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to start talking about life insurance, but you don't have to get into the medical questions. So at the point of sale with the PNC agent, they may be working with a client that bought a house, or they bought a house in the last 5 years, right? And they're getting their property insurance. They would tell the life insurance story. They would refer that client to either the life insurance individual at the office or you, the agent. You can talk to them, you could send them the link, and then everybody gets credit for that sale. So you can really use Bestow as an entrepreneurial opportunity by finding partnerships of your own, where mortgage brokers especially, right, where this is a perfect mortgage protection vehicle. You could put your card out there, you can make a deal with that mortgage broker realtor. There's referral guidelines in terms of referral bonuses you can give out. But that's, you can think outside the box of, hey, what are groups that should be selling life insurance but aren't? And you could bring that to market with them. Probably our most competitive niche market or niche product market fit is the SBA loan space. I know there's just a few of you, but have any of you worked in the SBA loan space or have worked with clients that need to get life insurance to close an SBA loan? That's all right. So this is a really good marketing opportunity for you. If you're not familiar, SBA loans or small business loans will most often, if not always, require life insurance to be put in place before that loan can be granted. And of course, that life insurance requirement is usually buried in the fine print, and the client usually waits until the last second to get it, right? Now, that puts everybody in a tough position. You have a loan officer pressuring the client to get life insurance. That client is reaching out to whoever to get that life insurance. And that life insurance may take days to weeks to months to get an underwriting decision. And then on top of that, it might take a week or two to get that policy assigned to that bank. For us, right, we can get underwriting done in 5 to 15 minutes. And I know it says 2 to 3 days here to get it assigned, but 90% of the time we will assign a policy within 24 hours. So now all of a sudden you have a process that's extremely urgent, right? A situation that's extremely urgent with a traditional model that takes weeks to months to now having the ability to offer that and solve that problem in most often less than a day, or at most 2 to 3 days. So we have a lot of SBA loan focused advisors and agents that will go to lenders and they'll say, we have a solution here to solve your life insurance conundrum for clients that wait until the last second. Now, granted, they need to be younger, they need to be healthier, so this isn't going to be a good fit for everybody, but it does capture that demographic that typically is going after SBA loans, which is going to be younger, right? 40s. So works really well. Because that lender, once they have a few success cases, all of a sudden that advisor has a referral stream from the lender that they're working with, right? So it's a really, really competitive space that we work in, and we have a really, really competitive process for it. How it works is that the client will complete that application, they get approved, and at the end of the application, there's a box that says, is this policy for an SBA loan? They click yes, that client will receive an email, and that email will have, well, it's basically a questionnaire, and it asks lender information, what the policy number is, lender contact info. And this is where the advisor works with that client, or the lending officer works with that client. Because a bank name like Wells Fargo may not necessarily be the exact name that they need to put on the form, right? So that is where the agent or the lender gets involved. That form gets returned to us at Bestow, and then we send 2 forms out. We send a form to the lender, and we send a form to the client to e-sign via HelloSign, which is a DocuSign. It's just a different process. Similar experience, though. Once both forms are signed, Bestow sends out an acknowledgement, and that policy is assigned. So again, it says 2 to 3 days here. If all information is correct, and if capacity is there, more often than not, we are assigning that policy in 24 hours or less. Any questions on that? I really want to drive home the sales idea, because if you can get yourself into a bank relationship or build a referral business through lenders, it's a really, really awesome way to get recurring revenue through Bestow. Cool. I'm going to jump back to the PNC. So if you're working with a PNC office and, it's not your job to coach them up on life insurance, but if you're in the hierarchy and you want to coach them up a little bit, or you're going to help them provide some training material, that sales marketing guide that I showed you, we have one that's tailored for PNC firms. It's going to be much of the same, right? Email signature, flyers, etc. But we tailor it to the PNC conversation. One of the coolest ways that a PNC firm can do mass passive marketing is where they run a check, right? They run a screen on everybody in their office, their client book, that bought a house within the last 5 years that are between the ages of 25 and 45, right? They identify those individuals and then they send out a marketing campaign, right? They do recurring email blasts, say this is a really good way to cover your mortgage. And then they can see again that life insurance prospect list. And from a PNC firm standpoint, and where this would be beneficial for you as the advisor, is that decline traffic, that PNC firm may not want, right, they may not want to go through a fully underwritten process. So then they would refer that client to you to help solve that need. And lastly, on this piece, we just have some conversation starters for them. PNC agents oftentimes are not talking about life insurance, and this isn't groundbreaking stuff, but it's a good template for them to have in front of them if they're talking about it on the phone. Cool. Michelle, that's about it. Well, I guess I could show one more piece, and this would be really for anybody, right? But where I get a lot of traction with this is with those PNC offices or with any agency that may not be selling life insurance or don't want to work with Bestow because they think, hey, I'm not going to make a lot of money from this. Remember, there's no case management associated with us. The beauty of this is that we take that away, right? Everything is client driven, and that client's going to be managing their policy post-sale. So the time, the effort, the overhead associated with making Bestow work can really be focused in on marketing and thinking about, okay, how do we want to implement this within our own natural sales cycle? So with a PNC firm, pushback that I get, because I'll meet with PNC firms and I'll meet with advisors with PNC firms, and they're like, Tim, like for the effort to market this, we're already doing fine, right? We have our renewals on our PNC book, why bother? I'm like, well, if you were to just do some marketing campaigns, which is just an email blast, right? You just have to make that email through those email templates, identify the clients that you want to mail it out to, and then you can manage that book on the back end through that agent reporting portal. But if they were to just sell 5 apps a month continuously for a year, right? You can see here, and now this is average commission, it's going to change, right? Per hierarchy, per sale. But on average, you can see how it can be pretty powerful. And this is going to be recurring monthly because all of our policies, our commission currently is paid monthly. So it's just kind of that recurring submission model. We call it mailbox money. One of our top agents called me 3 weeks ago and he's like, Tim, this is awesome. You know, I started talking about Bestow on the front end. I don't have to do any of the case management on the back end. And I'm paying my mortgage and I'm paying my car payment purely off of Bestow. And now everything on top of that is gravy. We've had offices use Bestow to actually hire a dedicated life insurance associate, and that model was an agency that partnered with multiple PNC firms. So that individual uses Bestow to penetrate the life insurance market within those different agencies, and they're dedicated to just sell life insurance. And they were able to, that agency was able to pay for that individual just using Bestow. So you can use this piece to get into the door of partnerships. It's also a good piece to consider for your own practice using us. Cool. Well, if we have a little bit of time, you know, I don't know if you have visited this website, but I like to show a few commercials. We try to keep things fun, lighthearted. Our marketing team does a good job of that. It's a differentiator of ours. And you're free to use these anytime you want. So the first one, I'll do the playground.
So I hear you don't have life insurance. How? That's incredibly hard to find out. Well, you know, people talk. How old does Jimmy now? 5? Yeah. Look, I get it. I've had a busy half a decade too. It's so brave of you to leave your family with all your debt when you die.
Hey, sorry I'm late. Carol, I hear you don't have life insurance.
So it's kind of snarky, but it can be an attention grabber, right? If you want something that's a little bit more vanilla, which is fine, we have another one here that's just more generic, talking about Bestow.
Meet Bestow. Life insurance designed for people who are too busy to get life insurance. It's easy. You can apply online in just a few minutes. There are no doctors and no medical exams, ever. And it's affordable too. With coverage from just $1 a day, it looks like you are all out of excuses.
If approved, you could have coverage today. Contact your agent to apply.
So feel free to watch these, incorporate them in your own campaigns if you like. Again, everything here is typically, it's all pre-approved, right? So free reign to use this, and this agents.bestow.com site, not password protected. I would just bookmark it. You can find all the information that you need here. Cool. Michelle, anything else you'd like me to cover or talk about?
No, well, nothing in particular. Certainly open to anybody coming off mute and asking questions or sharing ideas. I know that just by looking at a number of the folks that have joined us today, that they are using the Bestow URL link. So if anybody wants to share a success story or what they're doing, please do so. And then the other thing, while people, if you want to come off mute, the other thing that I wanted to just share real quick, if I can share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. This is our website. So this is the Coastal website. I think pretty much everybody on the call has registered for our site and goes out here hopefully on a regular basis. There's a ton of really good, helpful information. I'm just going to log on. Once you register, you can you can set up your password to go on automatically. But what I wanted to share with you is under underwriting, there's a section here called instant term approval. So everything that we've talked about today, everything that Tim has talked about, when you go to look for that information again, you'll be able to find it here. Bestow is our one true instant. We have several instant approval products that will take you, if you don't approve, if you're not approved instantly, it will take you into the next step of simplified or full underwriting. But with Bestow, it is, truly instant. But here are your links. Learn more. Here's the agent guide, onboarding video, getting contracted. So everything that you need is all right here at your fingertips, right from our website. Even a quick little rundown of who is best suited for this particular product and carrier. And then just wanted to reiterate the agents.bestow.com. So this is an awesome website. Tim, I have to ask again, is this Zach Galifianakis on your front page here, or is he just a lookalike?
It's not. He's an imposter, but
He's an imposter. Okay.
He does look eerily like him, and he's in a few of our commercials as well.
But I do appreciate there's no registration, and all of your materials can be used with the public. So really, you've done a nice job of making this very a simple marketing opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thank you. If any of you guys have questions or want to dive deep into a marketing idea, I have plenty of agents and advisors that reach out to me and say, hey, Tim, I don't know if this is going to be a good fit. Seems like a long shot. How can we make this work? Or how do we get my link in front of a group, right? One example is a home builders association. An advisor came to me and said, hey, they're a client of mine. This would be a really good way for me to get my link out in front of them. Another advisor came to me and says, hey, I partner with a credit repair company, and they want to provide a life insurance option to help protect their financial situation after they fix their credit. So they put their link out there, right? So you really can think outside the box. And if you want to discuss that, reach out to Michelle. And Michelle, I guess with your permission, I'd be more than happy to talk with them as well.
Of course.
About marketing ideas as well. So
yeah. So what I'll do as a follow-up to this call afterwards, I'll send another email out. And then I'll also send you these two links so that you can go to them and bookmark them. And I'll give you obviously my information if you need any questions around contracting, and then Tim for marketing ideas. So feel free to reach out to either of us or both of us, and we'll get you what you need.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Michelle, and have a great rest of your week and weekend.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time today. Take care.
Thank you.